Okay, good evening. Good evening. Good morning, Div. 4 a.m. in the morning. That's devotion. That's a man to be respected. The date is the 21st of July, 2025. So happy 21st of July, 2025, everyone. I don't think it's a particularly significant date for me, but it's community group. Thank you all for being here. My name's Dave Ellery. I'm one half of Freedom Thinking. The other half is on its way, hopefully. I was going to mute you when because I'm getting feedback. Yes, Lucia is going to bed as we speak. I've read her stories. We fed her extra early, so hopefully Jen will be coming up and bringing her beautiful wisdom and her gentleness that she brings. I always say she's the balance to me. Like I can be kind of hard, and she's just beautiful and gentle, and I think people really enjoy it when she comes. So I try my best to get her here, but we are not in charge. We have a 3-year-old that's in charge. So yeah, welcome to this via donation community group. If you are finding benefit from these conversations, if you're watching in catch up on YouTube, please share these videos with people that you think may benefit from it. Please share these videos with people you think may be interested. If you're enjoying it, please consider making a donation. It helps Jen and I keep going. It helps us keep making content, helps us pay the bills, helps us put food on the table. Yeah, we really, really appreciate it when people make donations. So thank you to everybody who's made donations. Thank you so, so much. And if you're not making donations, thank you for watching. We just really appreciate your likes, comments, subscribes, and shares, whatever. So thank you so, so much. Yep, mention it again. We've got a retreat coming up. I'm going to put the link to the video of our retreat in the description. That's the 15th to the 19th of August 2025. Wendy, who's on screen now, is coming along with a few other people. So we're really, really excited by that. It's going to be a really, really beautiful event. We've been having a lot of thought about that. And it's in Coniston in the Lake District, UK. If anybody knows anything about the Lake District, they'll know it's a very, very beautiful place. People who are into dowsing, I'm into dowsing. People who are into dowsing, earth energy lines, stone circles, sacred sites. Some people say that the Lake District is the heart chakra of the earth. I have a friend who's plotted the ley lines of the Lake District, and what she's plotted appears to be the Star of Life. So that's a really, really beautiful thing. Come and see it. Come and see it with us. 15th to the 19th of August, 2025. And we're calling it Reset Retreat. I was going to call it the greatest reset, but I couldn't be bothered getting political. Yeah, so if we're just calling the Reset Retreat, not reset insofar as come and chill out, although you can, that's what it's all about. But the reset of understanding who and what we actually are. That's what this retreat is. We're aiming to build the retreat around awakening. That's what this reset is about. It's about awakening. It's about resetting ourselves to a default state of being, the state of being before this story of who we believe we are and what we think is going on and all this bullshit that we live out of. That's what we're looking for. That's what I found. That's what Jen found. That's what many, many people who come and work with us find. And we're inviting you. Please come along. In the description is a video. Click on it. I think it's about 2 or 3 minutes long. Have a look. See what you think. Yeah, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. We really, really appreciate it. It helps us out, apparently. It helps us with the algorithm, helps us get seen. So anybody who can help out in that respect, please do so. And also, if you wish to come and work with us, we are here. Jenny and I are both here. We work with individuals, we work with groups, we work with couples, we work with businesses, we work with charities, we work wherever there's people. If you have something that you wish to discuss with us, please get in touch. info@freedomthinking.co.uk. Again, our contact details will be in the description below. Colin's not here to ask him if I've done everything. I think I've done everything. Right. I haven't got a conversation to have tonight. I haven't got anything really in mind. I can pull something up because I've been looking through my phone at some notes I've been making about things that I've been seeing. But I just wonder if there's anybody on screen who has anything they wish to talk about.
Hello, hi, this is Dave on cue. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Uh, One of the things, Dave, I haven't been here for a while, and I really appreciate you guys are here. I saw the recording with a gentleman from DRC in
Rodell.
from South Africa, and I wish I was there because the area he comes from, Goma, uh, I was born in Kenya, and it's it's the thing is I could have spoken to him in Swahili because that's a language shared with French and their own language they use. Because I worked in the old days of business in that part of the world from Tanzania side. So yeah, it would have been wonderful to meet him. So my question, yeah, and a story and a half he has. I mean, there's something else. Yeah. Uh, so I've just completed as usual, very procrastinating, but I'd got a 1 year. I went last year, and it was a brilliant program with one of the 3P facilitators, Aaron Turner, and so and one of the words he used, which enters that feeling of what do you call it, innate knowledge. He uses the word clarity of mind a lot, right? And my immediate thinking when it comes to clarity of mind, which is probably what Sydney Banks might refer to as the divine mind or whatever, any any other words to describe it, and anything else. And he uses the word uncompromising, and I can sort of little bit get where the words are going. It hits, and then it gets clouded up, covered up by thinking of whatever kind, because maybe I have a something to do with not having clarity of mind a lot of my life. I mean, it involved, you know, substances and this and that, fear of making decisions, fear of this, fear of that, worrying, which is definitely a clouding up of anything, rumination. So it looked sort of every time I heard the word clarity of a mind, or whenever you're clouded up, it's like symptoms of not being in clarity of mind. I was going to a thinking rabbit hole because there's this perception in my head that Div, you've not had many moments of clarity, confidence of mind. So it might be just a story I'm making up, which is probably it is, but I just find a little filter of a barrier to clarity of mind. Well, I guess I'm sorry I'm going in a roundabout way because I'm trying to describe an experience. Like let's say you were there and you mentioned look for clarity of mind, and this is if you're remotely overthinking anything, you're not in clarity. So that thinking or decision is probably going to be not useful to you. That's sort of, and my mind immediately goes, Dave, when are you going to get clarity? Are you going to get clarity about making decision A, B, or C? So it's already become a worry that you don't have clarity rather than enjoying the direction of clarity. So I don't know if I'm making any sense. Sorry, 4 a.m. talk, but thanks.
I respect 4 a.m. talk. Wend.
Yeah, well, I just would I mean, I don't have another question. I just want to dialogue as a group. Is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah.
If I dialogue with, Yes, God bless you for getting up at 4 a.m.
Thanks,
Um,
Wendy.
yeah. One thing that comes to mind is something that I've heard, and I really don't know if I can document it. I don't know if I can be super sure, but I've heard that Sid said that mental well-being or mental health equaled contentment. And
Yeah.
so that clarity of mind for me reminds me of being content. Now I can be content with a hurricane going on outside my house. I can be content with, standing around at the scene of an accident while the policeman takes my information as long as I'm not hurt. I might be able to, like, I can be content despite yucky circumstances. I don't have to be happy with my circumstance, but I can be content on the inside knowing that it's it will think the dust will settle in some fashion. And what that relates to for me is that we were born and our bodies and our minds are made of clarity of mind. They are made of contentment. So going to find it or looking in the direction of it is extra effort that I don't really need to expend. Now, granted, like you or like me, I only learned about this in 2017. So I'm more used to not looking for it. I'm more used to just sitting back and remembering it. I'm more used to that now. But when I first learned about it, looking for it or going, oh my gosh, my mind is so busy. I got to go find some clarity. That
Mm.
was, that was the way that I had been trained as a human to do things. So anyway, those are just some things that came to mind for me is that it's already there and how anybody might recognize that we really are okay is in the moments that we notice that we're content. And there may be more moments of contentment than I take notice of in a day or a month or a week. So being aware of that for me, of that. So that's just thought I'd throw that in there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wend. Did you hear the question?
No, I came in halfway through.
I don't think you did actually, but I think you had most of it. It doesn't matter.
But, if you make it into a question for me.
Right, yeah. So Div, can you kind of abbreviate, kind of summarize for Jen?
Yeah. Well, in the 3P milieu, I've heard the phrase, it resonated momentarily, called clarity of mind. And upon hearing that, I can little glimpse of what they're talking about, but I cover it up immediately with lack of confidence or something, which means, Div, you've never had clarity, you've had very few, and in the future, to make decision A, B, C, D, you will need clarity of mind. What they're referring to in this 3PGC talk or course or whatever, and ensure that you have a clarity of mind, or you might not get it. It becomes a lot of thinking laid on a phrase called clarity of mind. So I don't know why I had in the clouding up, the covering up of this clarity, and it's thinking definitely, because it has the weight of or you won't be able to make decisions, so you don't have this, so you don't have that, and in the past, so you become afraid that you won't have this clarity of mind. But one thing Wendy said just now, which is Wendy mentioned something about coming in 2017, and I think there was a little hint in there about seeking versus realizing. what Wendy just said right now. I think my habitual, which has been for a long time, is seeking that innate clarity. I was just going to say, but innate well-being or innate something, and just realizing so you can be content that you will have that available or have that, but for my personal thinking. Versus, so yeah, the habit is seeking, and I think that's the wrong direction regarding that. In tomorrow, if I'll need to make a decision, the clarity is always there. Depends on which direction I'm looking at. So I don't know. Is there a question in there?
One of the things I'm hearing in what you're saying, what came to me first was one of the things that Sid said over and over and over again is don't get lost in the words.
Yeah.
It's not in the words. And
No.
like, I think maybe when you were listening to the talk and you heard that phrase, you got in touch with something within yourself. And then we kind of attach to a phrase and then try and make sense of it or apply it to our lives. And I think there's been times in your life where you've made decisions that have come from clarity of mind and decisions that have come from a foggy mind, like before you even heard of the principles. Throughout your life, you have had the inbuilt capacity to make decisions and move through different experiences. And I think in your question or in what you're talking about, it's like, am I going to have clarity of mind in the future? So you're leaving this present moment, trying to work out, will I have something in the future?
Yeah.
And I think that's our tendency as human beings, not just you. It seems we often try and apply things to a future scenario. But I think what Sid was pointing to was so simple and so profound and so deep that it's like he was saying, this is how life comes about. This is what's happening. This is how you've lived your entire life through the principles of mind, thought, and consciousness, creating a reality for you. And I think sometimes when we get into content or we get into, am I in clarity of mind or am I in foggy mind? Am I in intuitive thought or this kind of thought? We start splitting thought up. It adds thought upon thought. Whereas Sid was saying it's all thought. Your whole life is a manifestation of this power we're calling thought that we don't really understand and that some people may call God. But actually, what it describes is what's already up and running in life. You already are these divine principles living a life. And the same as all of us, sometimes you've made wise choices and other times it hasn't been so wise. But from my own experience, looking back at my life, as it's unfolded, it couldn't have unfolded any differently given where I was in the moment. But actually, I'm grateful for all of it because it's got me to this point here. And I feel like we so quickly kind of like, oh, right, Sid said it's not in the words. Yeah, but what about? But it's like he said, it's not in the words because the words are trying to point to something that actually cannot be described with words.
Yeah.
It's pointing to the source of life. That state before we as human beings create. Like it's what powers us to create. And then if we start looking at creation, clarity of thought is going to be creation. Whether we think, if we're looking at it in that way, is it clarity of thought or not clarity of thought? We're then in content. Whereas I wonder if maybe when they're talking about that, they were talking about the kind of the power of thought, maybe. I don't know, because I didn't listen to the call. But anything that puts stuff on your mind, just let it go.
Forget it.
Like if phrase starts putting things on your mind and making you think more and more and more, leave it alone. And I feel I've got the thing that's helped that's navigated that I've used to navigate my life is when something almost takes something off my mind. When I'm listening and like stuff just falling off my mind and I get present, that's when I seem to make wiser choices. When I used to get really caught up in, right, is this intuitive, wise thought? Or is this personal thinking? And I'd split thought. And I spent hours trying to, what is it? And at some point I'd just move. And when I took it off my mind to need to know whether it was intuitive, wise thought or not, life lives us.
Hmm.
And I
Anyway,
think we just try so hard to like hold on, whereas actually life is just flowing through us. And the less thought we give it, the more free flow there is. The more thought we put on top of it, the more kind of traffic jams or blocks in the river or however we want to describe it. And we all do that. It's not just you. And I think it can sometimes feel like we're the ones that aren't getting this, or in life we all get busy and then we all have moments of clarity, and it's just part and parcel of being human. So that's kind of what I've heard in what you said. So I don't know if any of that's helpful.
No, that is. Thanks, Jenny. Particularly like all of it, all of what you just said. I love the nudge towards anytime the personal, analytical, however minute it sounds, like, oh, that is that intuitive? Is that the right? Is that what wisdom would mean to Sydney Banks? Or, like all that comparisons and everything. As soon as you get a whiff of too many thoughts, just drop it. And yeah, I mean, and also like what you said, life lives us. And there seems to be not a reassurance, but there seems to be a suggestion that when tomorrow comes, it's tomorrow. So that decision's clarity is not, it's not going to be pre-planned right now, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really, personally, I don't really understand the relevance of discussing the word clarity of mind.
Mm.
I feel like it's a big distraction. I feel like it's a big, big distraction, taking us in the wrong direction. The problem with words, Div, is they mean something different to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody says a word and you go, oh, that resonates, that resonates. Oh, but I don't have much clarity of mind. I remember once we did a community group. It was when we used to do it in person, and we had 16 people in the room and we had people online. And I wrote the word God on the board. I said, right, I want you to mark it out of 10, give it. If you love the word God, you're totally happy with us using the word God, 10. If you loathe the word God, you never want to hear it again, 1. Please, can you give us where you sit with it as individuals? And we went around the room and we literally had every single number, didn't we? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and duplicates of certain numbers. Now, we're saying the same word, but it means something different to each person. That's the nature of separate realities. The word is a clumsy tool. It's the most clumsy tool. That's why there's arguments, because people don't really, because we once had a conversation, didn't we? You said she was hot. Yeah, she's hot. You want to have sex with her? No, she's just hot. And it was like, we had this conversation. What hot means to me is somebody who's pretty. And to Jenny, it means, oh, you want to have sex with them. And
No, I don't think I said. I think you fancy them.
you fancy them. That's right. That's it. You fancy them.
Now you've said that. I
no.
thought what you were thinking.
It's like, but it's like, you see, we got so tangled up. Then we realized, oh, the word hot means something different to me to what it means to Jenny. We were just using the same word to describe two different things, because the word is a clumsy tool. The word is a clumsy, clumsy tool. That's why people get stuck on the words. That's why I'm listening to the 3 principles. I can regurgitate it because they're regurgitating words. But words, let's look at what a word is. A word is a noise. It's a scribble. It's lines, it's curls, it's symbols. That's what words are. But each word is an attempt to describe It's an attempt to describe something that the being is trying to convey a message, so they use the word. And to me, I love what Jen's saying. Sid said, it's not in the words. It's so true. If anybody has a realization, they'll come back and they'll go, I can't explain that. There's no words to describe it. And that's what Sid was pointing to, the nature of who and what we are isn't an intellectual process. That's an intellectual process, trying to understand the word. What does this word mean? How does it apply to my life? Intellectual process, not a problem. That's another thing I often hear in people, I've got all this personal thinking. Scrap it. That's my advice. I don't give advice, but in my advice, it's scrap it. I love what Jen said again. Stop dividing the power of thought into personal, impersonal. Okay? The moment we do that, it stops being a principle. It becomes an idea. Okay, personal thinking. Who's this person that's having the experience? What is this person? What is it? What is this? Well, this person is a divine experience. Okay, so there's your divinity already. There's your spiritual. The divine experience is having thought, is experiencing creation taking place through itself. There's the power of thought. The moment we split it into wise, unwise, clarity of mind, unclarity, non-clarity, it's like the moment we do that, we start to enter into an intellectual process. Just bear with me 1 second. Yep. All right. It becomes an intellectual process. And the moment it becomes an intellectual process, we've missed it. Okay. It's so tempting for us to get it. And I'm so sorry to anybody who's listening to this thinking they're going to get it. You can't get it. It's it is completely irrational. What the three principles is pointing to is completely irrational. It's not an intellectual process. It's completely irrational. And everybody on earth, including you, Div, is already in action. Okay? Already in action. You are mind, you are consciousness, you are thought. Now, those three things don't exist as three separate identities. They're one thing. The life itself, life is an infinite experience, consciousness. It's an infinite awareness that is creative. That's what life is it not? It creates an experience. And the experience is what we call our life, apart from we have got to a point, and the only reason why we're having this conversation at all is because human beings have got to the point where it has placed experience outside of itself. It believes that experience is coming to it from something other than itself. It believes it's coming from the weather, politics, it's coming from finances, it's coming from relationships, it's coming from words, it's coming from this, it's coming from work, it's coming from that, it's coming from, I don't know, whatever. But the moment we realize that that's not how life works, the moment we make that shift, now that shift is not an intellectual process. It comes via insight. Now, you can't go seeking insight, because the thing about insight is it's thought you haven't had yet. It's thought that we haven't had. So how can you go seeking something you don't know? At that point, it becomes a little bit, well, it becomes a little bit ridiculous. It's in the listening and it's in the letting go. It's not in the listening and holding on. The three principles is not holding on to anything whatsoever. It doesn't matter what it is you think is so important. It's a detail. You know, when people awaken, it's like they suddenly see through the illusion of their reality. And the moment they see through the illusion of their reality, they see through the illusion of everybody's realities, because it's all the same thing. they realize that they are already the divine essence incarnate. They are the divine creator being incarnate in a physical form. I don't know how this comes about. It's happening. It's happening. And it's like, I feel like if there's ever, like Jen said, if there's ever any contraction coming with the principles, any judgment, it's not it. It's a detail. That's the ego speaking, and the ego doesn't even exist, by the way. It's just a ball of thoughts that the spirit kind of breathes life into to animate a character. Dave is an ego. You know, it's like, it's not a problem. I really want to kind of, I don't know, if people can realize they're not getting life wrong. They're not getting life wrong. You're not getting life wrong if you have personal thinking. You're not getting life wrong if you don't have clarity of mind. You're not getting life wrong. It's a creation. It's an experience.
At the conference, I haven't listened to Linda Pransky speak for years, like probably since the conference we were at in America, so like 2017 or something. And one of the things I really took, like she was around Sid. There's something about her, the way that she shares is there's no judgment of her humanness. There's no judgment. And for her, what she tends to call, she calls them her frailties. She says, in one of my frailties in this life seems to have been, I'm pretty impatient. And she said, luckily for me, one of George's strengths, George Pransky, her husband, strength is that he's very forgiving. And there's something about that it seems it gets lost in translation, that people listen to the conversation of the principles and somehow expect to never have an experience they don't like, or get caught up in their intellect, or get judgmental, or get lost in thought, or have foggy days or bad moods. And I think her talk was a lovely reminder that, yeah, I spent years, I think 30 or 40 years she spent with Sydney Banks, and she still has aspects of her character she doesn't really like, but she's not trying to fix it. She's not seeing this in it. She's open. It could change, but it just felt like there was no judgment in it. There was just a deep respect for what Sid uncovered and then what was revealed within her for her life. And it felt so ordinary and so simple. And I think we can make this conversation, but it's the listener. Like, how are we listening? Are we listening to fix? Are we listening to have someone else's experience? Are we listening to be enlightened? Are we listening to
match this level to match a thought that we've generated, to
like find out what you think you would look like when you understand? And all of those are just noise. It's just noise. And I think the less we listen to the noise, we still live and still make decisions and still eat when we need to eat and do all the things we need to do. But I feel like what has come to me through this understanding is a lightness. It's not so serious. I haven't got to be so apologetic for things that, you know, in Linda's word, frailties. And I think we've had some great conversations before when I've just said, I remember once Dave was going, can you check my messages? I was sat in the car next to you, and it came up and it was like his ex-wife, his ex-girlfriend, and an ex-ex-girlfriend. And like this rage came up in me. I was like, for God's sake, why is it? And all this insecurity, and then all this upset that, like, oh God, am I always going to be like this? And you're going to leave me because I'm like this. And I remember you just going, look, you might always get insecure around these things. It's all right. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is just what's coming up for you. And it felt like for the first time, I wasn't being shamed. It was quite early on in our relationship, but I wasn't being shamed for having insecure thinking around ex-partners. It was just, that's what's coming up for you. I'm going to sit here with you. I'm not going anywhere. It's not making me want to leave. Like, and I just relaxed around it. And it was a huge turning point for me in that experience. And, you know, your ex-girlfriend is one of my best friends now. And like, we spend time together and we both genuinely have a lot of love for her. And I can feel comfortable with Dave telling her that he still has so much love for her. Something I never thought would be possible for me, who has spent a lifetime from my very first boyfriend having a lot of insecure thinking around other women and that kind of thing. But I think it hasn't been through me trying to see the principles and insecurity, or the principles and jealousy, or using the principles in a way to apply to. It's been a gradual letting go of an expectation that I had about what the principles was going to do for my life and for my feelings, and realizing the principles is a descriptive, incredibly beautiful metaphor for life. That's what it is. And through that gratitude and kind of respect that I've gained, and awe of it, some of the stuff that I've struggled with in my life has quietened down. Some of it is completely vanished. Other stuff out of the blue can like have me. And it's like, but that's all right. And I feel like if we can start to respect, like Lucia, my 3-year-old's little phrase that she just came to her once when she was in the kitchen: respect your life, respect your life. And I loved it. I thought, what a beautiful thing to have popped into her mind. And her other one a couple of days before was trust in life, trust in life. And when I asked her where did that come from, she said, from me, like from her. And I said, all right, have you ever heard somebody else say it? And then her dolly, who's called Raya, she said, oh, Raya just says it over and over and over again. But there was something in what she said, and it really made me stop for a moment and be like, wow, like, yeah, respect for the fact of life.
Yeah.
Respect for the fact I get to have a life. And it was such a beautiful moment. And I've reminded her of it a few times. And sometimes, like, Lucy, is it all right if I tell somebody that lovely thing that you said to me in the kitchen? She's like, you can. But we forget to be grateful, and we forget because we get so lost in trying to fix, improve, better on ourselves, on our character. And our character is going to be flawed in some way if we judge it in that way, because we're going to have likes and dislikes, and judgments are going to
That's good.
judgments are going to come up. But when we can see that all life is being born from that same point, from that same energy, from those same principles, I don't know, it does something for us. People call it the North Star, or it gives us something. I don't know, I feel like I used to go off course all the time and I had no idea I was off course, but the principle seems to, like, I go off course and I kind of get pulled back. Oh no, you're really getting lost again. And then you come back.
Perhaps that's what's been described as clarity of mind.
Yeah, like
You know, when you
that moment when you realise,
when you
oh, I'm lost in thought.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm lost in my intellect. Yeah.
when you reorientate yourself in the direction of truth, it's like perhaps that. I mean, I don't know what somebody else's definition of clarity of mind would be, but
Yeah.
that would probably be my definition of clarity of mind. When you reorientate yourself back to the nature of reality in its most fundamental form, how is it, you know, what is the truth of the matter? You know, which would suggest from that definition itself that the moment you think about the future, you're not in clarity of mind. But, you know, so you can get all kind of, you can take it to an nth degree, but do you want to?
But
Do you want to drive yourself mad with it?
also, like when we were going to Morocco, we needed to sort flights, we
Yeah.
needed to get travel insurance, we needed to think about the future. So it's not saying don't think about the future, but just recognise I had no idea how I was going to feel when I was in Morocco. I had all this thinking, oh, I'm going to be really nervous about Lucia and dirt, and there's going to be loads of people trying to beg from us, and oh, how am I going to handle that?
I thought that as well.
But actually, the people were just incredibly kind and interested, and we had a wonderful time. So it was nothing that I imagined, but I still needed to put a certain amount of thought into being there. And it is just this idea that we need to get present. Well, we are always present with what's occurring in our mind. So the presence is our default. So our mind
Inescapable.
might be thinking about the future, but we're still present with our thought about future. So we're always present. So the principles is describing something that's constant. Presence is constant. What changes is our thinking. And whether we're thinking about the past or the future or this right moment right now, talking to you, we're still present. Like that presence, maybe another word for that is consciousness. Pure consciousness. That's what we are. What passes through our consciousness is what comes and goes and changes and takes us up and takes us down. But within that, you can see there's no constant and there's no peace. If we're trying to define ourselves as some of that. But when we can see it for what it is, you enjoy the ride more.
Mm.
You enjoy life
That's
more.
what it seems to me to be all about. It's like, I think people have in their head a perfection model, and many people don't actually realize they hold this perfection model inside their own mind. You know, I've been speaking with a girl, she's not on, I was hoping she was going to come on.
Do you send the link?
No, but she's on the group, isn't she?
No.
Oh, is she not?
No.
No, sorry, no, I didn't.
Too late.
Yeah, and I had a word with her about, I'm pretty straight with her, I'm like, about this perfection model that she's trying to live by. She wanted to have my experience. I won't be happy, Dave, until I've had your experience. I'm like, you cannot have my experience. It was my experience. You'll have your experience. And this perfection model that she's been living out of has been holding her back from hearing. She's not been listening. She's not been listening because she's been trying to attain a state of being according to her belief. Now, the state of being that we're talking about exists before belief. Belief is after the fact. It's who and what we actually are. Now, who and what we actually are can believe anything. So therefore, it must come after the fact of being itself, of actual being. It has to come afterwards. So therefore, it has to be a creation. So people tend to identify themselves with their creations. That's where suffering comes from. Because it's a misunderstanding. I mean, suffering in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's not terrible. It's not people getting life wrong. It's having an experience, and that experience, you know, I wrote something the other day about how, let me see if I can find it. Bear with me 1 second. Is it that one? Was it just that? How can you value how can you value what you fear? What if fear helps us discover what is valuable? You know, I don't think there is much more kind of satisfying in this life.
Satisfaction.
Huh?
Much more satisfaction.
No, nothing that's much more satisfying.
More satisfying, yeah.
Yeah, in this life than having gone through a really, really hard time and coming out the other side. You know, the richness of that experience, the value that it brings to your life to know, fuck, I made it through that hard time. You know, this is why I have such respect for my hard time, and I have such respect for other people's hard times. Because there is certainly a value to it, because it's a humbling. It's a humbling. Each one is a deep humbling on a level that kind of, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, a friend of mine who had an affair could never forgive himself for it. This was years ago. I said to him, what was the silver lining? What? I said, what was your silver lining in it? I said, everything has a positive and negative side in creation. Everything does. Everything has its pole in duality. I said, what's your What's your opposite? What's the wonderful thing you took from your affair? And he stopped for a moment and he said, I suppose it made me more compassionate to other people who went through the same. I said, well, there you go. It brought you more love. It allowed you to experience a deeper sense of love. That's a valuable thing for a life. It allowed you to communicate with people, to have more understanding for other people's realities. That's valuable. It stopped you being quite so arrogant about it all. It humbled you. What a gift. What a gift. You know, and if people can start to see this, that, you know, it's not that we're getting life wrong when we go into suffering. People are looking for this anesthetic to life. There isn't an anesthetic to life. We need to realize that. There's no anesthetic to life. There's realizing how life works and going out and living. You know, that with it can bring peace, a certain amount of peace, but it certainly isn't an anesthetic. It won't stop you from thinking and feeling. It won't stop you from experiencing. It won't stop you from getting lost. I get lost. And I don't know anybody on earth who doesn't get lost. But it's not in something that came to me just before, Div. I hope you don't mind me saying this. You seem to have a lot of clarity around the idea that you don't experience a lot of clarity. You seem pretty certain about that.
So yeah, so it's sitting here right now in memory. That's where I'm talking from. It might change in a couple of hours, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it's like, you know, we've worked with people before and they're indecisive. I said, you seem really decisive about the fact you're indecisive. We're all of it and we're none of it. That's the beauty of life. We're all of it and none of it. We're the infinite creative force of life itself, which makes us all of it. And we're none of what we actually create. We're just temporarily experiencing that we've created. I was speaking to a man today about him smoking, about a friend of mine who was an addict. And this friend of mine, he struggled with cocaine. And I explained to him that addiction's a thought. And we had this lovely conversation. And, you know, I said to this man, I said, you know, when you've been working with me today, have you been craving his cigarettes? And he was like, no. I'm like, well, where is your addiction? Where's your addiction when you're not? I said, and when did you decide you wanted to roll a cigarette? He said, at break time, because that's what I always do. So there you go. The moment we have a break, you have a cigarette. I said, but as long as you're not thinking about it, there's no craving. There's no desire for a cigarette. You know, we are all of it and we're none of it. We appear in the moment as what occurs to us within our mind. And if that is what is occurring to us within our mind, that I'm flawed, I'm not getting this, this doesn't apply to me, whatever, I'm not good enough. One, we will appear as such because that's the nature of life. As you think, so you appear. As you think, so reality is born, because the power of thought creates reality. It's not about fixing it. But two, it's like seeing it's an illusion. I don't actually know what number two was supposed to be just then, but it's like seeing, I knew it before I said it, but it's like seeing that it's all a temporary illusion. It's all temporary. Like you just described just then, Dev. Right now, I'm just telling you about a memory I have. In the future, it might be something else. Well, if that's true, then it's an illusion. It can't be fixed. It can't be solid. It can't be fundamentally truth. Truth exists before it.
Thank you.
I hope.
What a way to wake up. What a way to wake up.
God bless you, man.
But no, but it's lovely. I'm so glad you have. I mean, grateful that you have these sessions. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy. That goes for everybody, you know. My advice to people, and when we work with people, I ask people, people say a word and they assume that you know what it means. You know,
I sorry.
no, I was just going to say, when I work with people, I often will say, and but what does that word mean to you? What does that
Yeah.
look like to you? Because unless I can get clear of how they use a word, because everybody uses words differently. You know, we all have different dialects to begin with. You know, and many of us speak, you know, Div, you come from a country which English isn't your first language.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And so it's like you've got, and like Godel, likewise, English isn't his first language. So people use words trying to describe something, but each word means something different to different people. And my sister always says, we speak a language we don't understand. You know, we speak words that when you it's entomology. Is the word entomology the study of words? Is that right?
I'm not sure, but it sounds similar. Sounds something like that.
I don't know. Something like that. I think it's such a fascinating thing because when you look into them, when you look into words, it's like I had a realization about the word in I forgot the fucking word. Yeah, I can't remember. Don't matter. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Sorry, everyone.
So just the last simple thing from, I don't know why it came up in my head right now, is there's the experience in the moment of living and whatever's turning up. I have this habit of, you know, that nanosecond when you're describing the experience to yourself. Like I'm walking, nothing on the hat, nothing in my mind or something, and taking the little dog and, you know, and you go, Div is walking with his dog. Yeah, it's like there's this little slip in of the description of the experience rather than being in the experience. Not all the time, but I'm noticing that I do that. Div's going to the supermarket, you know, like there's a little nanosecond, like rather than just being. There's a maybe it's a habit of
And then
reading all
what?
my life.
If. But then what?
And you keep on doing it. Go to the supermarket.
Yeah, but I mean, but if you have this little commentator in your mind, like,
Yeah, yeah. Comment. That's a lovely way to put it. A
but then
commentator.
what does it matter?
Uh,
What does it matter?
again, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
You see, if you can learn to just what's the word?
be.
But even the word be, right?
Accept.
It like when we say, "Oh, I've got to be," right? What does that mean?
Mm.
What does it mean? What does that mean to you? You see, you say that word, we've got to be. But what does that word mean to you, Div? What are you trying to do when you say,
I think I'm trying to. I think I'm just trying to remove this habit of excessive thinking. That's what I'm trying to do.
yeah, but you're trying to remove it by excessively thinking about trying to remove your excessive thinking.
Yeah, yeah. I'm getting there.
Right? It's like because because you've created such a story around thinking, you experience it because there's one thing your mind is going to do, it's going to think.
Yeah.
Everybody's mind thinks. It talks bullshit most of the time. Mine prattles on some fucking random shit an awful lot, right? But one, I don't even, I'm open about my weird thinking. I'm 95% open about it. Some of it I'm not going to tell anyone. But it's like you're in judgment. You're in
Mm,
you're in judgment of the most fundamental force in the universe. And you've created this enemy out of the creator and creation. You see, no thought in and of itself actually has any power.
mm.
So why do we give so much power to thoughts? Thoughts don't have any power. That's why you can have the suicide thought and not kill yourself. You know, I've had the suicide thought, I've had the suicide thought. And most people who have the suicide thought don't actually go on to commit suicide. And those that do go on to commit suicide had the thought to actually follow it through. So it's like, but most of the time we don't act on so many thoughts. Do you know what I mean? It's because they don't actually have any power. It's us that has the power. It's consciousness, it's the spirit. It's the creator that has the power, not what's created. So be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. In fact, I really want you to look at this aspect of don't turn the intellect, personal thinking. In fact, forget the words personal thinking, right? There is no separation in thought. Thought is a divine force. It's a divine force. The moment you split thought into personal thought, divine thought, it's all divine thought, because how could you have anything created within this universe that isn't divine? How could you? It doesn't exist. Nothing exists outside of divinity, outside of the singularity of God. Nothing does. Nothing at all. So you can't have the separation, the division of thought. It doesn't exist. And it is, the magic is in the power of bringing it all back together to one source and realizing, holy shit, the whole fucking game of life, the whole of reality is an experience. That reality is created from the power of thought. That is where the magic lies, in the simplicity, in the going before the details, in realizing that if it was true, that wasn't true, then that would mean that reality would be something that isn't experiential. Okay. But how could you know reality without the experience of it? Reality and experience are inseparable because they're one. The only thing you ever get to experience is your reality, and the only thing I ever get to experience is my reality. Ultimately, we're all whatever creates the universe experiencing. Infinite reality taking place on this earth right here, right now. That's what reality is. It's an infinite expression taking place in the now. I don't get it. I can't explain it. It's mind-blowing, but it's what's happening. And it's in the letting go of any achievement model. Forget it. It's not it. It's a distraction. Devil's in the details. You're going to hell. The moment you get caught up in the details, we're on our way to hell. Not physically, not spiritually, but in the moment, because we suffer. The moment we get caught up in the details, we're suffering. Creates suffering. Hell. Hell is a state of being in the now, nothing, not place after death. Just like heaven is. Heaven is heaven is just peace and contentment and love. The domain of God. That's that's being in alignment with the true nature of life itself. Yeah. If I
Okay.
sorry.
I was going to say, it's interesting. I often talk about Lucia, but seeing somebody's little character sort of take form, but how fluid it's still in so many ways. Because recently she's overheard people talk about death and people dying, and we've had quite a few nights now where she wants to ask me questions about that, and then she said things like, I don't want to die, are you gonna die, and all kinds of things. And she's only 3, so I get really quiet when I'm with her, because I think you can give too much of a description. And so I talked to her a bit about what I believe, but what I'm finding fascinating is just the continual thoughts occurring through her. And I don't know, like just the movement of thought through this being. And it's not wrong and it's not bad, and you can just see how innocent it is. And I think we'd just come back from her friend's Ash's house last time I was on the call, and she's fallen in love with a 4-year-old who called Ash, and she had the best time with him. And then we have to never like, I have to like build myself up to leaving. So I'm like, oh God. Like it took me an hour today to get her to leave. And I was just like, but now we do need to go. So she was screaming, she was raging, she was furious. And like if anyone heard, they'd think she was really in pain, like physically, but it was just like this. She just deeply loves this person. She wants to spend all this time with them. And it took us 20 minutes to get home. And then about 10 minutes after getting home, she was in and out of it. You could see her mind was being kind and she'd start thinking about something else. And then she'd suddenly remember Ash. And I don't know, I think it's been I'm so grateful for the understanding of the principles with that, because I don't need to do anything for her. I just love her, and I'm like, I'm really sorry you're feeling like that, but right now I'm going to have to pick you up. We do need to leave. There's stuff I do need to do now. But you can see the total innocence and that's the reality being created through her in that moment, and it's her everything. And then it moves, and then it comes back, and then it changes, and then you happen to be making homemade pizza when she got back, and that's something she enjoys. So then her attention shifted to that.
Asked her about a ferret.
Yeah, she'd seen a ferret today with Ash.
I love ferrets.
And it's like gradually her mind moved on. And then she was eating a pizza. Oh, I miss Ash. I said, I know you do, and that's all right. It's all right to miss people. But I think I'm loving witnessing the innocence and the normalness of us as beings. It's just what happens, you know. We create. And sometimes when she's calmed down, I talk to her a bit about, wasn't it interesting when we start thinking about something else, our feeling changes. And I don't think, I kind of get the feel with her, I don't need to teach her anything, like, because she's just already that. But it's not that she always lives in peace, and she does overthink certain things. And like in our life, her doll Raya she's been a constant really since she got her. And like the amount of times she'd hear about Raya a day, and she'd want to feed Raya and do this with Raya, and then I'm like, oh God, when did she suddenly stop needing to take Raya everywhere, and we don't feed Raya really anymore? And it's like this thing that was her everything is suddenly, she's still there, and she has her at night times quite often, but sometimes she doesn't. And
She always had a bit of cheese or fish stuffed in her gob, didn't she? And they're like,
unfortunately, a
filthy.
mouth you could put stuff in, and
Yeah.
but it was just so natural and ordinary, and that's just us as beings. And that we've all been that age, and we've all started creating. And then some of us kind of get ideas about who we are and what we're good at and what we're not good at, and this is my character, and we start trying to fix ourselves in time, and we're not really a fixed thing. We're everything, the potential for everything and anything in any moment. But it's just innocent, and it's making me have so much more compassion and understanding for everybody.
Yeah.
Because we were all that. And when I see a little 3-year-old, like her whole face changes, and like this, just the depth of love and sadness she's feeling all in that moment, I'm just like, wow. And I can see how, especially if you had more than one kid, you just be like, for God's sake, just stop, we need to now go. But I'm able to be present with her in that feeling and chat to her about it and whatever. But I don't know, I know it's not terminal, and I know there's nothing wrong with her. I'm not trying to fix it, even though it looks like the worst heartbreak ever. She's right, she's allowed to feel that. She's allowed to experience. And like I did say, like we sort of walked in the door, I was like, right, let's go and sit in this other room, and you can feel what you're feeling, but no one else needs to hear it, because it's loud, isn't it?
Seriously.
Like Ash actually ended up hiding behind his mum, like between the legs, because he's just like, oh
And
my
I love the
God.
way she hates loud kids.
Because she hates
They're so loud.
she hates other
I
children having
don't like loud.
meltdowns.
Well, you're not loud. You're louder than that kid.
Well, she banged into someone on a bike the other day. He then cut his ankle, so then he's screaming, and then she's going, "You're being too loud." I'm like, "You just rode your bike into him." But yeah, I just think there's a lightness that can come in life when we stop trying to do something to our thinking and stop trying to manage.
In fact,
our
when we
thinking.
just ignore thinking,
Just get on with life.
it's like, because this is something that was just occurring to me. People hear the word thought and they instantly go to thinking.
Yeah.
Right. I don't really talk about thinking, because thinking is not where the magic lies that we're really looking for. It lies in thought. You know, thinking comes from thought. Now, we can be mesmerized and distracted and obsessed with thinking as much as we want. We can do it, and in fact, many people will do it till the day they die, and they'll never really have gone out and lived their life that they could have lived, because they've been too obsessed with trying to fix their mind, which was never broken. Wherever we place our attention, we get, the mind brings us an experience. So if I place my attention on everything I think is wrong with me, what does my mind create? It creates the experience. It brings me corresponding thought. That's the way it works. When we hear the word thought, people go, "Oh, I know what that is. Yeah, it's this. Oh, there's a one. There's a thought. And we call it a thought. But a thought is not a principle. A thought can change. It's not a principle. But the power of thought is a principle. It is where all thinking is born. And Sid didn't speak about mind, consciousness, and thinking. He spoke about universal mind, universal consciousness, universal thought, the power of thought. Trying to change our thinking is like walking out into an ocean full of waves and trying to push the waves back into the ocean to make the ocean calm again. It's like walking out into the sea and going, "Waves, good, stop being turbulent, water, stop being turbulent. I don't like this turbulence. I don't like this. I'm fucking sick of this turbulence." That's what it's like. That's what we do. We're like people who walk out into the ocean and try and push waves back into the water, thinking somehow we're going to make it calm. You know, and it's never worked. It's never worked. It just doesn't work. And at some point we have to realize that fact. Trying to change our thinking, trying to manage our thinking doesn't work. You never get to experience life. You just constantly, you're self-obsessed. People are self-obsessed. Chronic self-obsession. And I say to some people, you know, you are your, it's probably a bit tight, but you are your hobby, aren't you? You really are your hobby. Your hobby is trying to manage yourself and trying to get yourself right. And it's not in thinking. It doesn't matter if it's personal thinking. It doesn't matter what thinking it is. It's not in it's in the real life. If I just want people to imagine for a moment, what would it mean to an individual if they dreamt their entire life at nighttime? What would it mean to them if their whole life that they experienced from birth till death was a dream that they had at nighttime? Would it be something to fear? Really? It doesn't mean would you not experience a nightmare, because you do experience nightmares and it feels fucking horrible. But would it actually be something to fear? Would it be something going wrong? No, when I look at that, if I was to answer that question, I was to think, well, if my whole life was something I experienced as my dream during one night, then that would mean that it was all a dream. It was all a dream. It couldn't damage me. It could change. It could infinitely change in any moment. You know, it would mean to me that it was all really one thing. It was all the power of thought creating an experience, because that's what a dream is. It's an experience of consciousness in the sleep state, what we call the sleep state, whatever that is, I don't know. What is sleep? I have no idea. Why do we sleep? I don't know. For some reason we need to sleep. But you'd realize it's not actually serious. It's not all that serious. Like you wake up in the morning and go, oh, this mad dream last night. I had this terrifying dream last night. But you see, it's the same process during the awake state that we are in, all of us are in right now, in this awake state. And when I say awake, I mean the senses are enlivened and we are conscious in our bodies. It's exactly the same process now taking place as what takes place within the dream state. There isn't two modalities of working, there's just one. So really, our reality now is a dream. That's why we're all dreaming different dreams. That's why we're all dreaming different realities, because the dream and the reality, dream and reality are the same thing. That's why in a moment you can go from being so fed up with somebody, I don't know why I'm looking at you as I say that, sorry, being so kind of fed up with somebody and then being so kind of compassionate towards them in the next moment, because you dream a new reality, you dream a new experience of them. And that new potential that we draw out of ourselves, we call clumsily a thought. Thinking, we call that thinking. It's clumsy, the words clumsy. Sid, some people say to us, why did Sid use the word thought? Well, it's an absolutely fucking perfect word, but it depends on what it means to the individual. Wend.
Oh, I'd give anything to talk over with Sid and say, can we please use another word besides thought? But that's just me. What I was going to say was I heard Michael Neal one time give this really good example. What I feel like what I was hearing from you, Dave, is saying that a lot awake, asleep, you know, what's real, what's not real, so forth. Is he gave this great example. I thought I loved it, of being given a job at a casino and saying you're going to get paid $500 a day, and your job is to play what a poker or whatever, and so you're gonna get $500 money no matter what happens during your shift, but I'm gonna give you $500 to play with as your betting, and you're either gonna win $10,000 or you're gonna lose $500, or it doesn't matter. You just play with the house's money, but you're still gonna get your salary of $500 a day. And as he tells the analogy or the metaphor or whatever, that we just kind of get used to the fact that let's see what today brings. Let's see what happens today.
Can't lose.
Yeah, you can't lose. You're alive. You're conscious. You're awake. You're part of the stream of life, and win some, lose some, whatever. That as opposed to being attached to the outcome or wringing your hands over it. You're alive and well, or alive and whatever you want to describe it, and it doesn't really matter, except you get to be creative. I know I'm going to play all the red chips on just the fours for the rest of the day. No matter what happens, I'm going to take all my red chips and put them on the four. See what happens. You know what I mean? You're not strategic. You're not trying to. You're just trying to say, I don't know, that maybe this will be great and I can win for the house. Maybe I'll lose it all, but it doesn't matter. They tell me I have a job anyway. I just kind of really love that. It's very vivid to me of that. Just go ahead. Just go out and do it. Go live life.
I love that. I was once given a sentence in the middle of the night, and it was simply, the soul doesn't measure. And I didn't understand it when it came through. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was having a bit of a hard time that night. I was in some thinking. I was lost in some stories. It happens. It's, reality. It's our reality. It appears real. It looks real. It's really obvious when you come out of it. But it's our everything in the moment. And in this moment, I prayed for help. I speak to Lucy, my guide, and I asked Lucy for some help. I wanted some clarity around it. And the clarity that came was just so. It wasn't looking at the details. I wanted clarity around the details. It was so much broader spectrum, and the words that came to me were, the soul does not measure. Dead simple. And the next day I really took the time to ponder what that actually means. The soul does not measure. Well, I started looking at it and I realized, well, measurement, that's a judgment. You judge distance, you judge how light it is outside, you measure it with your eyes, you measure. We measure stuff. And every time we measure, we create this little identity. We create this little. Are you struggling to hear us, Wen? You're struggling. Can you hear us? Oh, cool. Yeah, the moment we measure something, we create a judgment. We create and it's ace in this dimension. It's wonderful. How far is it to Kendal from here? 4 miles. Brill, I know how far that is. I could probably run that. Great. Okay, I'm going to run it. It's a useful tool. However, the soul does not measure was such a kind of a statement that really it got me thinking. And I realized, well, what would we be measuring? Well, we'd be measuring how well we're doing in life. Am I getting life right or wrong? Measurement. This thought, that thought, is that a good thought, bad thought? Well, that's a measurement. That's a judgment. Measurement is judgment. And the soul doesn't judge. The soul just experiences. It doesn't judge. The only thing that judges is the space from which judgment is born. Thinking. The intellect, the ego. That's the only thing that measures. And in that moment, the perfection of, because it was a very, very difficult time for me in this world at that point, but having that experience kind of just reopened everything up to this broader, not the details kind of sense of being. The soul does not measure. We're all the soul. The only thing that's ever actually experiencing anyway is the soul. We are that experiences. And even in the measurement, that's an experience. It's not bothered. The soul's not bothered because it knows it cannot be broken. Yeah, the devil's in the details. The moment we think we need to fix something, we're not in alignment with soul thinking, we're in alignment with ego. See you, Wed. Love you, love. Thanks for coming.
I think when you're speaking kind of about the dream and the illusion, something that's come to both of us really is, in this life, as a human being, we make decisions, we do things, and they come with consequences in terms of.
It's what's called karma, isn't it? It's what we call karma.
And I think as a human being here on earth, decisions I make have impacts on my life and can impact other lives, and we're all here. And I think there's a respect for that. And I think sometimes people hear it's an illusion, it's a dream, it doesn't matter. And I think probably at the deep fundamental level,
the soul level,
it doesn't. But here as a human being, like, I'm grateful for the fact I came across the principles, and it's guided me to a way more loving, compassionate, heartfelt life, and moved me away from so much judgment and measuring and all of those things. But I don't want people to hear it as that it doesn't matter, because on one level I feel like that's true, but on another level it's our life. And like loving people and losing people and all of those kind of things, you know, that we are going to experience that as a human being here on earth, and to respect that. And I respect that in other people who are going through things. And I think sometimes people hear us talk about the perfection in the unfolding, and then they talk about war, they talk about the content, and the mind used unwisely creates awful realities that impact us and others. A mind used wisely can create beauty and love for ourselves and others. And so it feels like you end up talking from two places, like the trying to think of the word,
Non-formed. Oh, Oregon.
that's not helpful.
That's
The subjective and the objective. So we talk from objective, big picture, what I feel like Sid was pointing us towards before, and how he used to describe it, before the contamination of the human mind, like that space. And then there's a human mind that lives, and like contamination makes it sound wrong, so I don't necessarily use that term, but it's the creative, it's the content, it's the subjective. You know, we'll all see things differently. Sometimes you'll think something's good and I think it's bad, and all of those kind of subjective layers. And I feel like the conversation of the principles can talk to both worlds, but I feel like the power and the depth of the objective, factual, black and white nature,
yeah,
that I feel like the principles offers, that's where the power lies.
yeah.
And I've had insight which feels very, very personal, and it's helped me in a situation, or it's allowed me to let go of something that's unhelpful. But the ones that shift something on a fundamental level, like I feel like that's the subtraction of the unnecessary. It leaves us freer and lighter.
That's when you see the kind of what I would call universal insight.
Yeah.
Like, and by universal insight, because I like I love what you're saying there. It's like you can have personal insight, which is great, which is wonderful, you know, and I get a lot of insight about myself, about my little character and my stories that I live out of, and they're wonderful. They're really, really helpful, and I really, really appreciate each one. But when you start to have you start to have a universal, what I would call, and this is my judgment, this is my measurement, a universal insight. What is a universal insight? Well, a universal insight is when you start to see how the universe is creating life, how it's creating experience, how it's creating reality, and how when you discover something that's applicable to all, not just you, it's something that's applicable to all, you suddenly have an experience of something that's so vast, and you realize that's who you are. And the moment you find that, you know who the next person is. I know who you are, I just don't know who you're pretending to be yet. I don't know what character you're putting on and masquerading as. I don't know that yet. And that's who you get to know as the character, as the persona, as the personality. So yeah,
I think those ones almost, I don't know, the personal insights in this life as a human being can be really helpful.
Yeah.
But then it feels like when you touch that kind of, none of it really matters in the way that you think it does.
Yeah.
Even my little,
all
like
made up.
I had a bit of an insight around one of the things I've struggled with in life, insecurity and jealousy, this feeling that there's not enough love to go around. So if Dave has love for somebody else, somehow that's taking away from me. And it was a lady who had actually done hypnosis for my mum on a tape for when me and my sister were born. We went to visit her, and I asked her, would she do some hypnosis? Because when I heard her voice, it made me really tearful. It was really a really strange experience. And I didn't really find the hypnosis helpful, but I was just intrigued by it, and I was intrigued by her. But one of the things she said to me, she smiled and she went, I think you need to learn to share, dear. And that did something for me. It was like it really did something for me. And it was kind of linked to that idea there's not enough to go around, there's not enough love, there's not, and it has spread out into my whole life, and I'm noticing more areas where I'm like, I try and hold on to things because and that's really, really helpful, but it's pointing to something universal. I feel there is enough love, there is enough for all. We don't, you know, there isn't scarcity, there is abundance. And that, I feel like it was like it started off as this like, whoa, I need to learn to share, and then it shattered something in me. And I think that's what I love about
That's how solid reality is, isn't it?
yeah, that's
It's like
what I
in a
love
moment
about
it can
it.
shift, and you're in a whole new world. Like, oh, fucking hell, look up. Oh, everything looks different again.
Yeah.
That's how solid reality is. Because it's not outside, it's coming from inside. It's what we're creating. It's what we hold on to. It's what we believe. Like Jesus said, it's done unto you as you believe. Your reality is what you believe.
I'm just aware of the time.
Yeah.
Has anyone got any other questions or
Yeah,
things
we
they'd love us to speak to?
rattled on tonight, haven't we? Sorry about that.
Because it's weird for me to be here.
Yeah. Thank you. There's a lot of flies in this room. There's a lot of flies in there this year. There's a lot of flies this year.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Lisa,
Lise.
you're muted.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to change this name on my phone. Anyway, just seeing us because nobody else is talking. I have this stupid voice that says, you know, if I'm feeling a bit anxious, and it'll say, "Look at those. They're not anxious. They're not anxious. Look at those people there. They're not anxious. They're not anxious. She's not anxious. Look at them. They're all just like living life, aren't they? Not anxious. And here you are thinking. And I don't know whether to just, tell this voice to just shut the fuck up. It just keeps popping up everywhere like a bad smell. And I guess it's a judgment. I'm just throwing that one in because it was silent, and it just bugging me today. I was having the most lovely day with Mum, you know, up in the Lake District, and you know, she sat there all chilled and stuff, and everyone's like, "Hey," and there's my little brain going, "Look at them. They're just like being in life and stuff, and they're not anxious." And I think, well,
They could have been anxious. Who knows?
yeah, they could have been thinking, does my ass look big in these training pants? Or
I liked what you said a few weeks ago when you spoke to your neighbour who you never thought was anxious, and they said, "Oh, I really struggle with anxiety," and you're like, "You struggle with anxiety?" Yeah, I didn't think you had anxiety. You struggled with anxiety.
yeah, I know, but just this judgmental voice that just keeps popping up and just going, "Look at them. They're not anxious, are they? Look at them. They're just looking out onto the lake going, oh, isn't this nice?" And there's you sitting there having a nice time with your mum, but this little voice is just still, I just not sure how to tell this voice to just do one.
Well, it's interesting you said about a bad smell. Like generally, if there's a bad smell, we move away from it. But it seems
Mm,
if it's a thought that's unhelpful, we give it loads of attention. I don't know, like,
yeah.
I mean, like, who cares?
You're
Like,
still talking about it now.
we're never going to know what's going on for somebody else, but also you can see it is in our measurement that we suffer. Like, oh,
Yeah.
they're having a better experience than me. Oh, they're doing life better than me, and it's
Yeah.
not being. We kind of create like a poor me. Oh, poor me. I'm just so.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Well, self-absorption,
But
like
just out of interest, was it coming to you just before? During this
when
time?
no.
So it's interesting. Do you see what we do? We have an experience and then we continue to think about it. And in the thinking about it, we create the
Mm,
impression it's more solid and real.
bring it back to life.
mm.
Keep bringing it back to life, bringing it back to life. So it wasn't even happening for you. And then you decide you want to start talking about it. So you start bringing it back to life. How do you feel now you've brought that back to life?
Well, I'm kind of okay because I know it's ridiculous. I guess I keep giving it CPR, don't I?
Sounds like it to me, love. I think that's one of the things that I learned to do personally was, yeah, I have fucking all kinds of mad ideas and moods.
And you, I love it that you just, I love it that you just go, oh, 95% of my thoughts you just couldn't air, you know.
Seriously,
No, I think he's saying far. There's 95% he would air,
I would
even though I
air,
wish he wouldn't.
even
And
though
then there's 5%. I'm like, God, what is
even though I'd
that that you
probably end
can't
up on some
share it?
terrorist list. But yeah, then there's probably 5% I wouldn't share of thoughts that come into my head that
And probably like
I wouldn't
at
share
least
with you for,
20% you shouldn't.
yeah, for fear of
For your
social
own.
isolation and judgment. But it's like we all have fucking insane thoughts, you know.
And like Jenny's insecure thoughts that still come round, you know, although they're not, you know, not as noisy as they used to be.
I used to have a
And
lot of shame around that, Elise, and I think I used to think if I understood enough about the principles, at some point
mm,
I'm never going to have that anymore.
mm,
And there was
mhm.
like judgment and shame around a feeling, a thought, and that's got less, and I'm grateful for that. Like,
Yeah.
but I just this idea of a perfect version of ourselves that we're trying to get to doesn't exist
Mm.
because we already are this divine consciousness dreaming up experience. We can't get any more whole or complete. And if when we get less interested in the comings and goings of our mind, it is a game changer. It doesn't mean you don't
Mm.
have uncomfortable experiences or feelings or thoughts or things you wish would go away. Or like last night, I was like, just go to sleep. And I was just thinking all these random things and thinking of people I needed to text and then trying to work out, is that person annoyed with me? Or they didn't get back to my text. And I couldn't switch it off. And it's like, that just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I don't feel like the extra
Uh,
judgment and thinking around it.
and I know what I want to say. I would really like to get into to really have a go at dowsing. Um, there's some pretty cool places around where we live, isn't there, you know, in the Lake District and stuff. And I would really quite interested in that. So I would like to pay for a session.
The expert here.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. I'd love to do that. I'll take your dowsing, love.
Yeah.
The district has more sacred sites in it apparently than anywhere else in Europe.
I would not be surprised. And I just would like to get curious about the energy and stuff. So yeah. So I was gonna message you, but I would like to pay for
Let's go
a
for a walk.
session.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, with regards to that thought, I guess it's just like, oh, here's the suicide thought again. You know, like with Michael Neal, you know, and his wife going, oh right, yeah, I have that one. It's just it's the divorce thought. Like, why have I married this idiot? You know, that comes round for me too. So I guess I'll just laugh at it a bit more. Just treat.
I was thinking about it the other day about like why is it we're afraid of thoughts?
Oh, I'm terrified.
Yeah, no, but there really isn't anything to be afraid of.
Yeah.
But Yeah, but why are we afraid of our own thoughts?
Because can be so destructive, and they
How?
seem
How
so,
can they be destructive? Explain to me how a thought can be destructive.
because they can fuck up your day, and
How?
well, I kind of for a long time I've woke up with the doom thought. Oh no, we're all doomed. And
How's
recently,
that panned out?
oh yeah, really good. Yeah, I'm an expert at it now.
Yeah, but I mean, how's are we all doomed? Has it happened?
No,
You got
no.
proof that we're all doomed?
So I'm kind of just going, well, you know what? I'm choosing joy. I'm going to look for joy. I know it's doing, and I don't care. I'm going to look for joy today. I'm going to choose joy, as much as I can. You know, you can't. If, you know, the house set on fire, I wouldn't be very joyful. But
Well, one of the things that came to me when you spoke, and there's something that you can add your bit at the end.
Good.
When we were running a retreat, there was a lady that I said it was mine and my ex-husband Rudy's retreat, and I said, Dave, would you do a one-to-one with this lady? She's asked because she thinks you know a lot about anger.
Just get it right, that's all.
And as they're walking down this beautiful lane in Suffolk, in a place called Stoke-by-Nayland. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was like birds were singing. It was stunning. And then she was saying to Dave, I just wish this rage would leave me. I just can't deal with it anymore. And Dave was telling me about this later, and it's something that shifted something in me. And then he said, after about 20 minutes, you're like, sorry a minute, can I just ask you, when was this rage? And she went, 2 weeks ago, I completely lost my shit with my kids. And I remember Dave saying to me, and then I just said to her, but hang on a minute, you've asked to come on a walk with me today to get the rage to leave you, but the rage actually left you 2 weeks ago. But you want to talk to me about it now. And I realized how much time I was still spending looking back at my experience and thinking it could or should have been different, or wanting
yeah,
to somehow make it that I didn't have to feel it again.
mm.
That story did something for me, and it did something for that woman when Dave asked her that question that completely changed things for her. And then we got to do a workshop with her down in Avebury
Avesbury Stone Circle, wasn't it?
about a year later.
Oh,
And it really had shifted something for her. And then she told a story about her son who had been sick on a Sunday night, and all day Sunday, I think. And then he came into her room like sobbing. She's like, what is the matter? And he went, I'm getting ready to be upset tomorrow. And she said she couldn't help it. She just burst out laughing. And then he sort of looked at her, and then he burst out laughing. And she said, but she realised, how often do we rehearse how we might feel in a future event? And I love both of those, because you see how the mind is just such a tricky, compelling thing. Like, oh God, this experience that I had, I now need to do something with it, even though it's already changed. Like you were sat with your mum earlier and having that little thought pop in, but then it popped back in and it feels like it's relevant, or there's something about it. We don't ever just leave ourselves alone.
yeah,
What if we left ourselves alone? Well, like Lucia today, I allowed her to feel what she was feeling. I didn't try and fix or change it. And her little being sorted itself out to the point where she could think about Ash and the nice day that they had without screaming that she needed Ash right now. Like the intelligence of life working through her beautifully. It took longer than I'd have liked, because it was intense on the way home. I kept having these, I was trying to concentrate on the sat nav and then intense outbursts. But I could see that it was just something that needed to move through her. And then I don't feel like she has any judgment about that experience. She's probably quite grateful that she's feeling a bit better about it, but she won't try and talk to me about that tomorrow, that she had this huge rage. And she actually was like this towards Jenny, because she was behind her and she just didn't want to leave. And I feel like that's, as adults, we learn to ruminate, and we learn to like project onto the future more. give ourselves a break.
Yeah.
We're taught to do that in so many ways. Like, give ourselves a break, leave ourselves alone. We're already up and running. We'll have an experience for as long as it hangs around, and then it will pass. Sometimes when we notice we have a shift in consciousness, we get to move through it quicker. Like, I think that word that you often use, notice, like notice. Oh, I felt like that earlier and it felt horrible and it shifted, it's moved. I'm feeling something different now.
That's
Cool.
nice, isn't it?
Lovely. I'm grateful for that. But we forget to be grateful for the fact that that's what happens in life. We have an experience,
Mm.
we get caught up in it, we calm down, we have an experience, we absolutely love it, we don't want it to end. We can't hold on to any of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a movement in life.
Yeah. I guess I judge myself. I'm like, why can't you just be one of these chilled out people? For God's sake, you know.
But I used to want to be more like Dave. I want to not care about ex-partners. I don't ever want to have to feel jealousy. I don't want to, like, you can get lost in the moment with people, and it doesn't matter if we're late for something, if something needs rescuing. Like, I just want to be more like Dave. But I can't be or do Dave. Like, he is a unique expression of life. I can only be me.
Fuck for that. Because we don't need any more of me.
We don't need anyone. But it's interesting recently, like something that's happened in your life where something's been brought to your attention, where someone wants you to be less Dave.
Oh yeah.
And I just said, but it's weird because it's almost like what this person has said is almost reinforced something that I felt in my life and said to Dave. But in the moment of it coming from somebody else, I saw it in a very different way. Like, actually, it felt different to me when I saw you just showing up as Dave in any moment, because you can only go on what feedback you get. And if someone doesn't tell you that it's not all right, you just show up as yourself. And then if someone says it's not all right, you can adapt and change. And it was just a really interesting thing to witness. But there is only one of you, and you're not doing life wrong. But if you compare yourself to someone else, you'll come up. Sometimes you'll think, oh, I'm doing better than that person. Oh, but I'm not as good as that person. And it's the same with weight and beauty and intelligence. Like, what in all of that measurement,
ourselves mad with anything, can't we?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things you need to make peace with in this life is you're mad as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's mad as fuck. The whole of life is bad as fuck. Life is mad as fuck. It's irrational. Life's irrational. It doesn't make sense. It's a spiritual reality. It's
you only have to
irrational.
You only have to look at an acorn and then look at an oak tree and be like, how does that
The
happen?
actual fuck is going on here.
Like, I remember one of my insights of seeing this tiny little plant growing through cracked concrete and being like, how does that little plant that I could pull out and break somehow break through tarmac or concrete? And I was like, oh no, but it's not the form, it's the energy, it's the life force that can do that. It's the life force that allows that. And I think when you start to notice, like, I feel like when I stopped thinking about myself so much, I started to notice life, and I started to notice the miracle that takes place in every single moment of every single day.
And then I realised you are that miracle.
I remember it being described. I went to a Philip Day talk, and he was talking about if you had two lines of fishing wire, the way in which they needed to cross perfectly every single moment is, he was talking about something within our bodies that takes place, some kind of chemical reaction or some kind of thing that happens. And he was like, but one mistake, you'd be dead. And said, and that's happening second after second after second. This thing is taking place within you in terms of replication. And I mean, I can't do it justice because I'm terrible at remembering these kind of stories, but I remember just thinking, oh God, I've never even really considered like all the processes that are going on within our bodies for us to be here and for me to speak and see and to digest food. And then when Lucia was growing within me, I was like, this is blowing my mind. I'm like, it's the only way that any of us have ended up here. But oh my God, having that experience of like, this is a miracle. I'm not doing anything. And then like I've learned a bit about, calcium being taken from my bones for her bones, and you're like, if we stop thinking about ourselves and what's wrong with us, and bettering ourselves, and whether we're getting the principles and what insights we've had or not, because that's something I used to do when we met. I'd still talk about the insights I'd had all the time. You just get present with the miracle that is life.
Yeah.
And I think that to me is so much
Notice
more
that.
interesting. So it's not been like a conscious choice. It's just been, that's more interesting. Like if there's a bad smell, I generally move away from it. I don't go and actually say them, Lucia.
Yeah. You're like, oh, it's good. Yeah.
Dave did a pop, we'll say.
I don't pop.
And she went and smelled it up.
No, she didn't. She stuck her head right between my legs.
She went, that stinks.
Well,
unless
well,
you're
it
like
will
Lucia,
do if you stick your face in
You
there.
generally move away.
Yeah. We recorded that.
I know.
Excellent.
Sorry.
That's true.
We've actually announced it to the dinner table yesterday. How often you pop.
I know. Shit. She's worse than me.
She is. But she thinks it's hilarious and totally owns it. So what a lovely note to finish on.
We're all mad.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And yeah, it's just always lovely to just such joy to and it's just so nice to have you here, Jenny, too.
I know.
I'm fucking sick of listening to him.
I don't blame
I
you.
think Lucy was so exhausted from all her crying. She was like, we turned the light off just after you left and she fell asleep within 10 minutes.
Oh, bless her like that.
She was just
Aw.
so tired. But it's funny because I know that you always used to speak about this love you felt for people and you could often misplace it, but it was like a deep love. And you said, when I say I love my friends, I love them. And it's like this feeling that feels so much. And she really feels deep love for this friend. And it's wonderful on the one hand. And then you can see as soon as we get attached to something, we're going to suffer because you can't have it all the time. But it's just, I love watching life taking form through her.
Yeah, it must be absolutely just amazing. Yeah.
Like watching other people's kids and watching animals, like that's become really interesting to me because I'm just like,
Yeah.
life is so fascinating. And why does she think what she thinks when she thinks it? And why, like, is her friend obsessed with playing mums and babies? It's all he wants to play is mums and babies, mums and babies, mums and babies. And his mum is like, oh my God, if I play one more mums and babies. But why? We're not saying there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the expression coming through him. And it's so much easier to, I feel, to not have judgment for kids because you see the innocence. But as adults and for ourselves, we're like, oh, we should know better or we should do better.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
you can see the play of life through kids. I think that's why I've always loved being around kids. And some people hate it, so they don't see the play of life through kids. They just see. The other day we were walking along in Grange, and there was Lucia, her friend Torren, her friend Evander, and Orla, her little friend, all on balance bikes, all with their like helmets on, all raring to go, screaming, woohooing. And someone had got stuck behind us going down like a narrow bit for a bit. And as she got past, she went, oh God, this is going to be a really nice, quiet walk, isn't it? And my husband's like, shh, come on, dear, it's all right. And I just thought, poor you, because we're not going anywhere. But it was just, I loved seeing the joy that came through them and the presence.
Yeah.
It
And
was an annoyance. So it can't be the kids. You haven't got to be around kids.
yeah,
People
I
really
guess that's with the dogs, with having 6 of them and just seeing them sometimes just so incredibly not thinking we shouldn't be having a sleep at this time or a rest at this time, we should be doing. They're just remind me to, it's okay. Take your shoes off. Have an hour, or just they're complete and utter joy coming in the camper today and going on the choo-choo train at Habit Way. Woo-woo!
Nice, love. Like it.
Anyway, yeah, I'm going to order some rods and hopefully we can.
I've got a set you can buy.
Okay. Okay, right. Thank you.
Let's call it a night. It's 9 o'clock. I'm probably, so the thing we set off with clarity of mind, that's probably clear as fucking mud tonight. I'm sorry, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You set off for the first hour, hardly hear any swearing, and it's just down.
I know it's because I'm
You
getting
get tired.
tired. It's because I'm getting tired. I've been doing tree work today. And I'm
And
very, very, very tired.
I don't help. Sorry.
What do you mean don't help?
I love swearing.
Really
Oh,
Oh,
notice
no,
it,
yeah,
actually.
no. Yeah, Lisa swears like a scaffolder. Right. Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. If you made it to this time, well done. Hats off. And Div, thanks so much for what you've shared, man.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who's brought stuff to this group. Thanks for everybody for being here. It'd be terrible without you lot. And yeah, thank you if you're watching this in catch up. Just loads of love to everybody.
Yeah.
Comment and subscribe and
Yeah.
share.
Do you want to say something, Div?
No, see you and hope to see you again next week.
Cool. Yeah,
Thanks.
well done. Yeah, we'll be on next week. Thank you so much, everyone.
Take care.
Lots of love.
Bless. Loads of love, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.